to our reporters with both teams. We're going to start with Michelle Steele in Kansas City.
The Chiefs injury report out just moments ago, headlined by a critical member of the Chiefs offensive line that protects Patrick Mahomes. Left guard Joe Thuney ruled out for this game on Sunday with a pectoral injury. Andy Reid telling me it's less about pain management, more about functionality. Nick Allegretti has been taking all of those reps at practice. He is the next man up. Running back Isaiah Pacheco back at practice today for the first time this week. He says he will absolutely be ready to play on Sunday. He's dealing with an ankle and a toe injury, but it's a good thing that he says he'll be playing because he's accounted for more than 40% of the team's total touches in the postseason. And now for more on the Ravens, here's Jamison Hensley.
Thanks, Michelle. The big news here in Baltimore is tight end Mark Andrews being activated off of injured reserve. Andrews has practiced for the past 2 weeks. He was a full participant all this week. When I asked Lamar Jackson what it means for the return of Mark Andrews, Jackson said, "I get my security blanket back."
Glad to have it back. Marcus, if the Ravens do have Mark Andrews, how does that change things?
Oh, that red zone is going to be devastating, because let me tell you something. Getting him back, along with what they've been able to do with Isaiah Likely. Now, it's on Todd Monken to figure out how to get both of these guys involved. But when I heard Mark Andrews coming back, I immediately thought about the red zone and how difficult now they become to defend when you got two matchups where you're giving up size and you're giving up Lamar Jackson's rapport with both of these guys. Another shout out to Lamar for building that rapport with Isaiah Likely as well in the absence of Mark Andrews. But that was my first thought, is that they can be dominant and they can dictate matchups when they get to that part of the field with Mark Andrews returning.
Yeah, I mean, who do you even try to cover? All right, on the other side of things, Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo hoping for more out of his defense.
The challenge is the same. Quarterback that can throw it, that can run it, that can scramble, right? It's like 3 dimensions instead of 2. And some of the things that we normally would put in a game plan for that type of quarterback were in there last week. They'll carry over to this week. We certainly need to defend this quarterback better than we did last week to make things go the way we want.
Yeah, some respect to Josh Allen there. What does this Chiefs defense need to do to improve on last week from Allen and the Bills? Sorry, it's okay. You know what? Let's put a microphone on that and see what it was.
The big thing was how they rushed Josh. It was really disappointing, and they got lucky in many ways. There was one, too many seams, and 2, they got past the quarterback. I hear Marcus talk about that all the time. They got past the quarterback far too often. These are just those Josh scrambles. Look at the middle in between the hashes. For Josh, that's a wide open lane. For Lamar, that's a huge carry. Now, Josh kicks it for a throw, and it ends up being a huge third down conversion. Watch at the end of this how everybody for Kansas City but one ends up behind the quarterback. I mean, if you're going to do this first, that might be a touchdown if that's Lamar Jackson. We know has his ability to scramble. So I think they have to be so much more disciplined in their rushes, so much more aligned in their rushes. Again, you're going to see just a small seam. But in reality, Josh takes 1 or 2 steps forward. Everybody's behind him. This wasn't some surprise either. We all know that Josh could run. So I think that's got to be a massive focus for Kansas City's defense. We talked a little bit early on this week, the 4-man rush. If they don't rush just better and in more control, Lamar will absolutely destroy those lack of lane discipline rushes.
Dan, on Monday, you showed 2 plays on the touchscreen that we did, and it was just George Karlaftis rushing, and we saw the nose stand pat and the right end never get upfield. Well, if you listen to some of the sound from that game, defensive line coach Cullen was telling the defensive line that the right end should only bull rush and stay on the inside shoulder of the left tackle. So that was some of the sort of things that they were being told. What's going to be the plan for Lamar Jackson on a team that, if you watch the Houston Texans early in last game, they were able to put pressure on Lamar Jackson, get the football out of his hand, have him float away from the pressure and not step into the throws. And then they were beat a couple of times by him using his legs. What did Todd Monken adjust to in the second half? The quick game early, got the football out of his hands, and now they were ahead of the sticks for the rest of the half. When you're playing Lamar Jackson, it isn't about the one thing you can do well. It's about being able to adjust as he adjusts. And it used to be just using his legs. Now with Todd Monken, it's understanding the offense enough to find an answer outside of his athletic ability. And that's going to be Steve Spagnuolo's challenge.
I think we all agree that Steve Spagnuolo is going to blitz Lamar, that he has to blitz Lamar because a 4-man rush is kind of a death now. because of the rush lanes. So the question, to go off of what RC said, is how do you avoid getting carved up the way Houston was in the second half after the Ravens made those adjustments in the pass game? What struck me watching the Ravens on those first 2 drives was the way that Todd Monken used motion to gain leverage for his wide receivers so that they were open when Lamar threw to them so quickly. So for Kansas City, I think there's a lot that goes into this, but one of the things you want to do is use that motion to time your pressures perfectly. You got to communicate on the back end, and then when the ball comes out, you got to tackle.
Yep.
This Ravens team right now, they rank first in yards after the catch versus the blitz. And the biggest difference between this Chiefs defense and the ones earlier in Patrick Mahomes' career is how well they do tackle. That is paramount in this game, and you have to marry that coverage with the rush.
Mina, that's the point. Like, look, the bottom line is Lamar Jackson is going to break out of the pocket. He's going to get some yards. It's about not letting them break your back and then bending when you get into those red areas. That's why I thought when we talked about it earlier, Mark Andrews coming back, because now it makes it more difficult. But the rush plan for every team when they're playing quarterbacks like this is for everybody to work in unison. The problem is what we've watched Lamar Jackson do all season long. When you get caught up in trying to have a plan like that where you got these guys pressing certain areas, then the protection lasts so long. So it's a double-edged sword when you don't have guys getting after him. And we've seen him. We have clips. I think either Dan did the tape where Lamar was in the pocket 7 seconds, 8 seconds at times when teams are trying to figure out how are they going to attack him. So that's going to be the conundrum for the Kansas City Chiefs and everybody that plays against him. I think you do better by trying to force the issue a little bit with a 4-man rush, just having all those guys be communicative.
Get it out of his stinking hands, man. I'm going to be honest. I don't care who he throw it to. It's better than him having it.
No, that's a good point. I would not be surprised if they just pressure him and play man.
Yeah,
hey, we think we're better.
Yeah. It's interesting. D'Amico Ryans, during that entire game trying to defend Lamar, he kept saying, like, y'all, he's going to run it, so somebody take him down, like, as much as you can. Back to Championship Sunday. The Lions gearing up to face the 49ers in the NFC Championship. Our Jeremy Fowler from Detroit in the Domino's pregame headquarters with the latest on their preparations. Take it away, Jeremy.
The Detroit Lions roster is shaping up nicely before the team flies to the San Francisco area on Saturday afternoon. Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow practiced Friday after missing the previous 2 days. He's got several ailments, including a knee issue, but he's definitely playing on Sunday. A new tight end, Zach Ertz, who arrived to town just 3 days ago, told me at his locker that the Lions threw the entire playbook at him. So he is hopeful to get activated off the practice squad Saturday, but no official word yet. And right now, this is a loose, confident team, feeling no pressure, nothing to lose. As head coach Dan Campbell put it, we know exactly what we're capable of.
Capable of a lot, for sure. Now, one area where the Lions offense could have an advantage on Sunday night is in the run game, specifically when running outside of their offensive tackles. Jahmyr Gibbs has averaged the 5th most rushing yards outside of tackles this season, and that could be an issue for the 49ers defense, which ranks in the bottom 5 of the NFL in that category. RC, what do you expect from Gibbs in this Lions run game?
Isn't it strange to ever believe that the San Francisco 49ers defense would rank at the bottom of anything that involves physicality?
Yeah, it's weird.
Especially when you think of Dre Greenlaw and also Fred Warner, who sideline to sideline is the best linebacker in the NFL. But we've seen teams like the Arizona Cardinals, the Green Bay Packers take advantage of this defense on the perimeter, especially off tackle. And we've seen them be able to pull and create dividends on the second level. Do you know who you don't want to see on the second level pulling? Jahmyr Gibbs with Penei Sewell in front of him. And they're going to get a ton of that this week from the Detroit Lions. And the thing that you want to do when you look at San Francisco offensively, they're tops at the league at creating big plays. Defensively, Detroit gives up a ton. A way to even that out is not only to possess the football running with Jahmyr Gibbs off tackle, but find a way to pop some runs and get some explosive plays that can now lead to Jared Goff using the play action.
So there is a problem when it comes to San Francisco defending the run. And it all starts with, obviously, what you just talked about, RC, setting the edge. But also, when you got these long zone stretch teams, you have to penetrate the perimeter and get upfield. Here, Chase Young is going to do it the right way. Even though he's in bad position, Aaron Jones sees that as a threat and gap, so he cuts back into the defense, and now guys are able to rally. Now watch this one with the defensive line. This stretch is so long that now the penetration turns into running east and west. A guard is up on Fred Warner, look at the backside, and that's how those gaps are created. And the good running backs, to your point, RC, especially with Jahmyr Gibbs, all he needs to see is daylight for a half a second, and he's going to take it. And then he's already up on the second level. Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner this year, when you watch against these zone stretch, they've had as much of a problem as I think I can remember these guys playing this. And it all starts with the defensive line being able to get the running back to slow his feet, but also getting him cutting off gaps in the front side immediately.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here, how the Packers had tremendous success running outside of tackles, using that pin-pull action against San Francisco, how they've struggled with it all year. They've been hearing this all week, right? I mean, how many times do you think Chase Young has seen that video of him getting blocked down by Jatavian Wicks? Like, they're fully aware that they're getting criticized for not being able to set an edge. And here's why I think that matters, because I believe they are going to go into this game determined to stop the run. And so my question is not whether Detroit can actually run on them. I still think they can anyways, but going off of what RC said, as a passing attack, can Detroit take advantage of that? Okay, when Young crashes down, can Jared Goff boot out and hit an explosive off play action? If those linebackers and safeties get a little bit nosy, get a little bit worried about their angles, can you hit them over the top? The Niners offense is excellent defending the middle of the field. The Lions passing attack is also excellent, throwing over the middle of the field, and I want to see them take advantage of aggression in run defense.
I got two questions. Follow me here. So, Hufanga, is this... Is that part of why this has been such an issue?
You know what's so crazy? He's been gone so long, I stopped actually relating him to the team and some of the woes they were having stopping the run. It's not just about the place that he plays as being the extra defender. It's how fast he always made everything declare. Troy had this saying. He said, if I miss, I'm going to miss on the right side, and I'm going to miss fast. And that always meant it was going back to the pursuit. And so not having that sort of player in there who's the insert player in the run is huge.
Marcus, real quick, when you're talking about this stretch, sometimes when we've talked about the pin, pull, or the crack toss, does the split of the offensive linemen do anything for you? Like, are they more spread out in your guys' eyes to try to create those gaps? And if so, what can you, defensive line-wise, do to challenge that?
Yeah, you can get a pre-snap read, D.O. You're absolutely right. They usually try to create a gap before the ball is snapped. And I was thinking about, like, when you asked that question, when I get that overhang, I thought about it against Green Bay. If I was the D-line coach for San Francisco, I would have stood Chase Young up, or I would have stood Nick Bosa up and told them to play more into the inside shoulder of whoever that overhang guy was, whether that's a wide receiver or a tight end. So I would, like, for me, if I'm going into the game knowing that I have that issue and I want to make the football declare fast, sometimes it's harder out of a three-point stance to create that penetration, especially when you got to get width.
It's aggression, though, right? Perimeter runs and making aggressive defenses run sideways is how you beat them. Because now you put them on their heels. And I think back to Marcus continually pointing out what Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner looked like in last year's NFC Championship. Obviously, the Detroit Lions aren't going to be a zone read team. But if they can get the run going, to Mina's point, now the way that they can operate within or between the numbers and play action can become huge. And I think that's especially important against this team with someone like Fred who gets such depth in his drops.
I think that, Marcus, I think the stand-up point by those DNs is phenomenal. Like, I'm going to watch for that.
If we're wanting them to be aggressive, they're already upright. They could really get to him quicker. I mean,
thought that was really
both Bosa and Chase Young, watch and see if they're standing. All right, game picks. All right, look, so Mina's on the 49ers, Dan's on the Lions, shocker. I'm going 49ers, Ryan going Lions. We're really across the board here, guys.
I thought the Rams were going to go to the Super Bowl. So once the Lions beat them, I'm like, okay, I think the Lions will go.
A lot of times
it's weird that you pick Matthew Stafford and the team you used to play for to go to the Super Bowl. That's weird. I'm
listen,
shocked.
people say we're supposed to be unbiased. I am a
whatever, Dan. Yes, you are. But by the way, Dan also, you kind of look like Where's Waldo when you said that. It jogged something in my memory. Anyway, a key injury. Let's go to the other game that's really interesting. The AFC Championship game. Adam Schefter tweeting that the Chiefs ruled out officially Joe Tooney. We thought it was going to happen, but it's big. You see Noddy out, Sky Moore. They're also out for Sunday's AFC game. They're also listing Isaiah Pacheco, Willie Gay, and Kadarius Toney as questionable for Sunday's game.
Toney's a really big deal. So is Noddy. Do not sleep on Derek Noddy as a pass rusher. That is a big deal.
Yeah, the second you guys heard that, I heard both you and Mina saying something there. All right, so here's our picks here. Everybody's on the Ravens.
Good job, Laura.
I'm on the Chiefs.
You might be the smartest one
I love my
on here.
team.
You're either saving us or you're correct. So in the end,
it's a win-win.
Hey, I got a question. Boogie, you said Dan looks like Where's Waldo? Hey, Dan, where you hid them big ass ears at when you play hide and seek?
How did you get here? I feel bad, Dan.
Yo, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than when your big ass tells a joke and laughs harder than everybody else.
And he just did the finger. There's nothing worse.
Because it's so funny.
Hey, listen, the best is we still have 30 seconds left in the show, which means
I thought the show was over.
Laugh. No, we're still
so we
going.
just
We're going to take this 30 seconds for
My
us.
ears aren't even that big.
The problem is
I just got a small
This
head.
was.
mine look big too now that we're thinking about
We're going
it.
to make sure that
What's
people,
happening?
guys, be focused on the linebackers of the Baltimore Ravens, McQueen and Raekwon.
Don't do it.
I can't.
Absolute ballers.
Just a minute.
Fly
I
away,
think the
Dan.
Chiefs,
Hell,
The
okay?
boys have balls
Fly
and
away,
names
Dan.
to change.
We'll see you next week. Enjoy the game.